And that's us for our footwear analysis for this week's show. I'm glad you could join us on what would it be called if it was about
aBlogtoCrocs.
aBlogtoCrocs. There we go. That's this week's title sorted. aBlogtoCrocs Weekly. I'll just change the entire channel name for that particular joke. Greetings and welcome to this week's live recording, aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live. We hope you're all well. Those of you that choose to tune in at this time in the morning, hopefully our audio is not too shonky. We have a show. We're not quite sure what the show's going to consist of because David has just interjected the world of Casio. So we will probably end up going down that route. And let's kind of start there, because if I share this screen and we'll do Blast from the Past before we go to a recorded show, then on the website there are 25 pages of Casio reviews. I seem to be doing screen within screen here. That's the wrong page.
The screen section.
Let's share this page. That's better. There are 25.
What could possibly go wrong with a screen share, right?
Yeah, nothing. 25 pages. So the question is, Ariel, select a number between 1 and 25. Your first decision of the day. Oh, good grief. Well, come on, Ariel. 1 and 20. 4. Right, page 4. That's page 3 because you can't select page 4.
You're able to navigate to.
There we go. Page 4.
You can just rewrite the number in the URL.
Pick a row between 1 and 6, David.
5. Hopefully it's the blue Oceanus thing. 2, 3, 4. Oh,
no,
then the 4.
Does this mean Rick still hasn't found a random number generator? It's just I'm sure ChatGPT will do it for you.
Even Microsoft Excel will do it for you. Like, you can definitely have this.
They banned you?
Yeah, ChatGPT banned me. Apparently I'm not allowed to use AI anymore.
Can't you use Claude or something?
So Claude, it really is intelligent. It's banned you. It's why it's happened finally.
Right, let's ignore David. We'll go for the row before, because it's actually got some watches on it. So the Casio Oceanus Manta. This is from...
I love that row has like their most expensive watch next to like their least expensive in there.
It's like,
I think that's like $20, and that this is like a very nice Oceanus here.
Yeah. So tell us about this Oceanus Blast from the Past from 2023, David. This is the one you wanted to land on.
Yes.
Why?
It's all I care about now.
Why are we going to the news article? Is there not like a hands-on article right next to it? Like, why are we going to look at the renders?
He likes that romantic wave.
Because I like the waves, and because you wrote this one. So I was hoping you might know a bit about it. Whereas this looks like, is this Ariel's wrist? This looks like an Ariel
hopefully
wrist.
Not
How did that work out? How did I not write that one up? What happened?
You subcontracted it.
Too many watches.
I remember this watch. I remember liking it. Yet somehow Celine has been replaced with, I don't know how that happened, but I'm glad she liked it.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Well, there you have it. So tell us a bit about it. Why is this such an impressive watch? It's very expensive, is it?
Okay, so I think half the value of this watch is the bezel, which is like a fancy cut piece of sapphire with a color coding process underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So very thin titanium watch. That's like sort of the main bit of it. Nothing digital, all analog. Got all the stuff you want, Bluetooth connection, solar charging, all the fancy things. About 39.5 millimeters, something like that. So very sort of modest size. These are great. And they have, slightly more conservative, sporty ones or traditional bezels, or they have these very elaborate ones. There's a bunch of different sapphire bezels here. This is a little bit more artistic. They have other ones that are a little bit more standard with like the city ring on there. Here, the cities are inside of the rehaut in there, or the in-ear ring around the bezel. But yeah, just I don't know. I enjoy these watches. I don't have one yet, but I feel like eventually I need to get an Oceanus. And of course, David and I have been into this since before it was officially sold in the US. So I had a big kick when it was officially sold here. We're like, oh, it's about time, but
we
it's
were
actually
into
sad.
the Oceanus before it was cool to be into.
But we liked it. We liked these things when they were only in Japan. Something about it being available everywhere is just it doesn't make it as crazy. Look, here's the thing. These are still rare as hell. You may as well only see them in Japan, right?
Okay.
But
these were actually so I started digging around and just to see what I can find in terms of, because I found these watches by going to Chrono 24 and searching
Chrono
for
25.
Casio watches. Or 25, 26 actually. Every week it increases by a number. and ranking Casio watches from most expensive to least expensive, and the things you can find is really amazing. I like these little exercises, and that's how I found one of those that I sent you, Rick, a link about, which was like $9,000 or something like that, which is the super fancy version of this. A lot of these, not maybe this one that we are looking at in the hands-on, but a lot of these are hand cut, basically like crystal glass, for the little like tumblers or whatever. So that's very cool. And I really like this combination of something, man-made, high craftsmanship, put on or placed on a digital watch. Somehow that just adds up in my mind. It's very, very cool to see.
Well, I love seeing them kind of stretch their high-end muscles a bit, because they are, objectively speaking, like the most practical watchmaker when it comes to just creating something that's going to work at the lowest possible price point. Like I've said multiple times on the show, if I had to equip a communist nation with a wristwatch, it'd be the F91W, and I'd be out like, I think 10 quid for everybody. It'd be so fine. And like 8 years later, they might need a battery or strap or something. But then with all that manufacturing capability and literally like the craziest Bluetooth movements and everything, why not make a really, really nice watch? And so whether it's an MRG or the Oceanus, what you get is a very, very, very well executed Casio, but still with all the stuff you love about a Casio, like the fact that you can set what would otherwise be an absolutely nightmare process of setting buttons entirely from your phone. And then with this bezel as well, like David said, you kind of get this artisanal aspect that is otherwise not what you normally associate with like the veneerable 5600 G-Shock.
Breaking new beats. These are Casio's version of the Citizens Campanola.
I'd say it's a little bit different, but then again, for many people, they'd be like, no, this is that. David, I'm just seeing this version that you shared. I've never seen that version before, with sort of iridescent colors and the black and gold and the date wheel.
We will come into so normally at this stage, this would have been the live bit, and then we clap, and then we do the actual show. But seeing as that content was actually quite good for a change, we'll keep it in. So let's just give ourselves a round of applause.
Oh no, the bad content was good.
That could just be the official clap in, a little round of applause. Just right, so there we go.
Very good.
So that's the show officially started.
Yes.
Right. Okay. We'll come back to Casio in a minute, but I wanted to touch on something from last week, which I just find funny. And I wonder, so if you remember, we spoke about Chrono 24 last week in their rebrand. And this week they've announced that this chap has taken over as an experienced e-commerce chief, takes over chairmanship at Chrono 24. Okay.
Did AI make that image?
I totally buy commercial real estate from him. Look at them.
Yeah, but you want to have a guess what the company he used to work for was called?
Chrono 25?
No, not quite as bad as that, but you're not a million miles off. He used to work for a company called Scout 24.
Okay.
So he's moved from Scout 24.
That's why he got hired.
That's why he got hired. So I'm curious as to whether we can think of any adjacent.
Did he like email them wrong accidentally one day? Like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you hired. Great.
Going into, they asked ChatGPT, can you find us a new like CEO or whatever, technical director for Chrono 24, and ChatGPT just went off and found someone else with 24 in the title. So I'm curious as to whether there's any watch brands that spring to mind that if they employed the sound-alike company director from somewhere else,
Patek Philippe's successor would be Philip Plein, I think. Another PP name in there.
Like that. Any others spring to mind? I'm wondering if, the one that's sprung to mind was if Are you familiar with the brand Rexel? Is that an international brand? Or Pyrex? You know who Pyrex are? They make so like if Rolex's new CEO came from, they accidentally hired the CEO of Pyrex rather than from some other watch brand, and you ended up with like kind of slightly browned crystals on the Rolex dial, similar to Pyrex. Is that whether there's anything else that springs to mind? So I'll let you mull that over while we.
I'm so confused
as
to why Chrono 24 became Chrono 25. Did the product change?
No, like, it's because we decided it became Chrono 25.
More video ads now, and they keep talking about rebranding. And I feel like they then have to lead in with what's actually changed. Like, it's just a new paint job, right? There's nothing different.
Did the name actually change?
No, I'm kidding.
No.
But there's a new
changed
logo. But we're going to call it Chrono 25 until we're told otherwise.
Good.
No.
So it's changed.
I think David's thing is right. Is every time we mention Chrono, they're now Chrono 26. Every time we mention them on the show, they go up by one. We ring a bell and the number goes up by one.
Can we just briefly appreciate that this gentleman right now is framed on our screen between two of this cat Hublot ad?
It's so hard loss of discretion.
It's so hard to take anything seriously when the
Mr.
cat
Bevere feels about this. He's like, I once had an ad of Bernie Ecclestone with a black eye, and now we've been reduced to own it.
With a cat. What's the cat's name
maybe
again?
The cat should have a black eye.
I mean, maybe. I'm just saying, like, Hublot is setting up for a rebound. Okay?
Why don't they find a cat that looks like Bernie Ecclestone? That I think might be a very interesting campaign.
Yeah, like some dark fur around one eye. I can see that.
Whose cat? There's a thing called like the Johnny Cat look-alike competition.
An old cat could really look like a skinny old cat. Definitely could look like Bernie
cut its
Ecclestone.
Hair, give it that same type of cut. Yeah,
give it a cigar.
I think this could be a really interesting campainn for them.
Okay, this took a bizarre turn, more bizarre than normal. Right, let's get back to, you could have Tatmaro could tag sort of three letters, JCB BIC, maybe BIC if it was somebody from the razor company. Anyway, right.
But the point is, Chrono 24 has done nothing different, have they?
No, not that I can establish. No. They have literally resprayed. They have vinyl wrapped the company.
I bet they're going to increase prices real soon too.
You think there are percentages charged to those selling?
I'm just saying, you don't do a paint job without trying to charge more rent, right?
Okay. Well, here's a particular job for us to focus on this week. I think we might have a little bit of a Casio focus. I know Ariel's been desperate to talk about these, so let's give him that chance. Let's give him that space. The Casio G-Shock watch times Crocs Echo Wave clogs, not just shoes, clogs.
What are these like in real life, I wonder?
Well, I mean, Crocs are pretty popular out there.
These are different though. These are different than the standard fare offerings, and I've got a few different ones, and I do not have these. Do you like them? How's the comfort? The 5600 watches, we know this, but I'm very curious about the footwear aspect.
5600. I'm sorry, no, this is the 2100.
Oh yes, the 2100, the Casio.
Wearing it on your ankle is really something. That's what I gotta say. On your outer ankle especially, reading the time is so hard, but that special moment where you're in the dark and it's glowing and you can see it at that angle on your outer ankle, that's when the Swatch really shines. That is the magic moment. Like, I'm so happy.
Are you able to mount it upside down on the clog so it's more easily readable when referencing the time while wearing the clog?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it can only be mounted right. So you really have to get assume an impossible position in order to read it.
It's for the other, okay? My favorite thing is this. This is the holder, right? So this is like the fake watch shape that you take out. But it's mounted, and I just don't think it can be put on the other side. Again, the entire shoe glows in the dark. Still, there's a couple of reasons why that might be useful.
Do your feet also glow?
Well, they also float, so if you lose them at the lake at night.
I keep thinking about crocodiles so much while wearing this. I don't know why, but I just can't stop thinking about crocodiles. That's really what I feel when I wear this watch. It's the color pattern with this sort of like pink and dark aquamarine. Don't understand that. I'm not hip or cool enough for this watch, but again, crocodiles.
Well, it's the little bit the crocodile leaves when it eats you. It just leaves the 2 feet sticking in the shoes.
One more question. Are you able to wear, if the watch is on the clog, are you able to wear that thing that was on the clog that looks like the watch on the strap on your wrist?
No, it doesn't connect to the strap.
It's not cross compatible.
That's lame.
It's not cross.
You could drill little holes in that. I bet you could. Ripley, you could make it work. You got a little Dremel, right?
I'm wondering if the watch was there, you still want to rock the thing on your wrist. So
I think if this matches someone's fashion sense, where they wear these colors on a regular basis, and I'm talking dark aquamarine, pink, and glow in the dark, I just want to meet this person. If that is
someone who spends the
fashion colors,
I spent most of my life in Crocs and a G-Shock. They really should have consulted on me. I would have happily shed some insight on the mounting is ambitious. I don't think anyone can properly read that. But as Ariel mentioned, like a minute repeater, it's for those around you, not just necessarily for yourself.
What I wanted with this was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't other Crocs have those little tiny things that stick into it? And that thing that's stuck in, is that what it's called? And
yes,
for that to be the Casio ring watch.
What's
a gibbet?
A gibbet, not to be confused with a giblet. A gibbet is that little...
It's not turkey innards, no.
Yeah, the gibbet is the thing that you can put through the holes on the Croc. It's like adding a badge to the trunk of your car.
It's a charm. It's a little shoe charm.
And they make every single possible thing.
It's this thing, the thing that's the watch.
No, they're much smaller though, and they go on the top of the shoe.
Yeah, they go in the holes, which this one doesn't really have. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. This is deviated from the Crocs platform quite a bit.
Deviated from the Crocs.
It looks sportier. It looks more
Ripley's
aquatic.
A Crocs originalist.
The Crocs scholar.
You can't. I mean, you don't sell Crocs in Scotland because, frankly, all that happens is you get your feet wet all the time and cold. We
live in America where we can barely tie our own shoes. Crocs are like slowly becoming the official footwear of our culture here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, for $200, you don't get the Crocs, you just get the watch.
No, that's everything.
Is it?
These are foam. These are not expensive things.
They're not
full retail
that's
is like $60
Crocs.
on
They're
them.
Still making it's like a Swatch. You're giving Swatch an enormous profit margin at $120, whatever they cost these days. Okay. Still not a lot of money, but they're making a ton on that.
So, do you order from the Casio website or do you order from the Crocs website? You order from Crocs. So there is the ability to put in what size of feet you've got then.
They got a bunch of sizes. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Is there a waiting list or are these like getting resold with a markup or something like that?
I'm gonna check StockX. Hold up. Let me just let me see if I wanted to grab these. I don't know Ariel, are they officially available internationally or is this still something that's
I am not the shoe guy, okay?
Why not,
but you're the watch guy. This has some crossover.
Okay, so they're only available if you've got size. What's the difference? Huh?
So my size right now, they're $268 if I wanted to buy it now, although the highest bid is someone who seems to have lowball. Oh, no, this doesn't come with the watch. Okay, so someone has scalped the watch and is selling just the clog apparently on StockX. Right, okay.
I'm confused. I'm on the Crocs website. In women's sizes, it's available in an 8, 9, 10, and in men's sizes, it's available in a 6, 7, 8.
Why just those sizes?
Are women's sizes and men's sizes not the same scale? In this country, there's no such thing.
Have you ever bought shoes for anyone other than yourself?
So they don't do half sizes. Men's sizes are a size and a half larger, but if they're out for the height.
Hold on a second. In Europe, you just have, you have kid sizes, and then you just have sizes of shoes.
Yeah,
you don't have women's sizes.
Sophistication.
You also use the metric system where everything's a power of 10 and it makes sense, and we're like 12,
42
36,
or a 40.
whatever.
Makes sense anymore.
And why can't you guys select the best language? We did that in America, sort of.
It's Italian.
David, do you have women's sizes and men's sizes of shoes in Hungary?
I love how I now sell Crocs. Like yes, sir. We got the right thing for you in stock. Right over here, sir.
Yeah.
So I imagine
their dream.
These might have sold out.
I don't think they are the same.
They might have sold out if only those bigger sizes are gone. Because I imagine they've only produced a single size, and the 9 would be a 10 in men's versus women. So if it looks like the bigger sizes have sold out, which is quite common in the world of sneakers, obviously brands make different sizes of these things and different numbers of each size. So like, the 9s and 10s of the world have larger numbers produced than those on the higher end of the spectrum because fewer people wear a 13 than a 10. So it makes sense that the bigger sizes sell out. And I can't imagine that someone with like a size 4 or whatever the smallest size is trying to wear this. So it does make sense that we kind of have that middle wedge distribution there for the sizes.
And that's us for our footwear analysis for this week's show. I'm glad you could join us on a blog to, what would it be called if it was about
aBlogtoCrocs.
aBlogtoCrocs. aBlogtoCrocs. There we go. That's this week's title sorted. aBlogtoCrocs Weekly. I'll just change the entire channel name for that particular joke. Right, good. So the next up on the old Casio bandwagon this week is this. And I had just never considered this before, that Casio don't produce mechanical watches. And so that
I had to quadruple check it before writing this article.
The first ever mechanical Casio, the Edifice EFK 100 forged in carbon. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess you just never notice until you notice. So tell us about this. Why now?
Just market analysis. They just looked up mechanical dot Excel file and XLSX, and they were like, oh, what? We don't have such a file. We've never made a watch. Let's make it. And then they bought a crappy movement from TMI, which is Seiko's time module Inc. OEM nonsense. This watch actually has the next grinding gears coming its way because, spoiler alert, I will write about a watch that is minus 35 to plus 45 seconds per day accurate is not a watch. It's a time guestimator in my mind.
I feel like
if something gains 5 minutes a week, then that's not a watch.
I feel like they designed this years ago, never came out with it, and then it like accidentally got released and like, uh-oh. This seems like an internal experiment.
So these are the ones that are coming to the US. If I'm not mistaken, the carbon one will not be coming to the States. It'll be a US JDM thing. And so we get the steel bracelet ones.
Is there a watch that has, let's see if we can find a picture of it for those that are tuned in on aBlogtoWatch Week Live. Is there a watch that isn't a world timer that has more locations mentioned on it than this? Because it tells you that it's cased in China on the back. It says Malaysia in the middle. Does it say Japan anywhere? So it has 2. It's not a big number.
It's never been to Japan.
It's never been to Japan. It wants to go. Please, when I grow up,
the edifice of Japan.
Can I go to? Is it not really? I've never seen a watch say where it's cased in before.
Some Japanese watches do say on them if they've been cased in China.
Wait, but I just realized that this is the answer to Seiko abandoning the entry-level market. Yeah. Casio's like, we'll just do it with Seiko's own movement.
Exactly. Cheeky.
Well, that was always my opinion was what was going to happen when they let the the new movement available to everybody, is that the micro brands were just going to become the new entry level Seiko. But yes, you're right. Casio has become the new entry level Seiko. It's a brilliant move. Do we like it?
I don't think any of us are target consumers for it.
It's nice. Bracelet is nice.
It's a fairly decent looking watch. It might not keep time.
Yeah,
I want to see like a teenager wearing it. Like I'd rather see them wearing this than like imagine what the moon swatches are going to look like a few years from now. Way worse than this thing.
I mean, this is $40.
Oh, yeah.
How much is a moon swatch? Yeah, it's a proper watch.
$250.
I just can't tell the time. Yeah, I quite like it.
It's probably made quite well because if you think like at Casio's like $20 watch is water resistant past whatever it says on the dial and is a completely serviceable option. And then anything in the like G-Shock, let alone Edifice realm, is pretty decent in terms of build quality and everything. I'd imagine that in terms of, QC, fit and finish and everything, these are probably pretty good relative to like, insert random other brand using an NH35 here. Granted, NH35 out of the box specs are woeful to say the least, but I'd also imagine that there's probably maybe a little bit more care that Casio puts into it, or at the very least, they're getting some preferential orders because they're probably, ordering a ton of these, whereas the micro brands ordering, 500 of them.
They also don't want us saying Seiko. Casio made it very clear to us. Sorry, Casio. Like, don't say Seiko. I'm like, why? It says right there, NH35A. Like, everyone knows what that is in the watch community.
Isn't this ironic that Casio has just made its first mechanical movement, and yet it has already copied almost everything that's wrong and bad about mechanical watchmaking? That's a lie about the origins of its movement. It's literally their first foray into this whole shtick, and they're like, oh, okay, well, let's lie about it.
They want to look like they've been paying attention,
We're going to make every mistake that every other brand's made all in one go, and we can get it over with and just then correct. Yeah, get it right.
Look, if the street price for these is like $250 or $300,
I think price? What are you doing? Buying them in street corners surreptitiously?
No, who's paid retail on a Casio, right? Like, the retail on an F91W is like over $20. I don't know anyone who's even paid close to $20 for that thing.
Yeah, I stick with street price.
Yeah, street price.
These are going to be, a very compelling option, and I think that Casio is really going for like that Reddit person that buys like a list of specs. And so for like on a list of specs, this is going to win. And what they want is a lot of people having their first watch. I think it's very clever. They thought a lot of people's first watch would be a G-Shock. And then what they noticed is that as G-Shock wearers aged, they still bought G-Shocks, but young people didn't because they missed the whole like 1990s, surfing and BMX era. So what they find is that younger people like vintagey stuff. So this is Casio's kind of special plan to just get in with that young buyer. I think they hope they'll like graduate to like a $600 digital watch at some point in the future. But this is specifically targeting that person who's usually newer, who for them a watch is a mechanical analog thing. As ironic as that is in 2025, I think that's Casio's play, and they'll probably do okay at it.
And these are quite competitively priced. If you look at like the Citizen Suyosa, which is like an integrated bracelet style watch, it uses what is effectively Miyota's 8 series movement. This is competitively spec'd, uses a Seiko versus a Miyota, same beat rate and everything. It's a little bit less. So if they deliver even remotely close to the same build quality as far as the case and bracelet and everything, it's right in the running for what's commonly accepted as like, one of the go-to affordable integrated bracelet mechanical watches.
Okay. And let's be honest, Casio is watching that. Casio knows it. Citizen's success with those low-priced mechanical watches, just a few years ago, Citizen was selling none of those, right? They had no mechanical watches they were selling at all. All of a sudden, boom, they're selling a ton of them. Casio wants more business. They're like, okay, why not? And then they start figuring out, making our own movement. Yeah, we don't want to do that. That'll take a while. Who's got a cheap one we can buy? Oh, Seiko TMI? Super, let's get them. And again, all the pieces fit together. It's just weird if you have a particular expectation of what Casio is. But let's be honest, these are watch companies that want to make money, and they want to make what they think the market wants to buy. And I think we'll see a lot of these out there. In fact, I think in the next year we'll see a lot. Casio ring watch, though, I've yet to see one of those. Hard to see, though.
Do you think they bought these movements legitimately from Seiko, or do you think they bought them via third party and then went, surprise!
They bought it from TMI, and they are finding out that it's Seiko just now. Like, what? TMI is on my hook. They just ordered 400,000 of these, and they find out it's actually Seiko.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. But I wonder whether the other way around as well. Do you think, are Seiko going to respond to this? Do they need to, or are they happy we're selling the movements? Are
they going to use the Casio movement? Stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. or actually start producing cheap watches again of their own?
Oh, no.
No, that's not going to happen. No, but I would love to see, like, instead of the Seiko Astron system, put one of those G-Shock Bluetooth equipped things in there. The Seiko Astrons are lovely, but nothing comes close to the user experience of a Casio where you're like, I have no idea how to set this thing. Oh, wait, I'm never going to need to learn. Let me just open this on my phone, add here, press this button, and it's all done for you. You know, I wouldn't hate a Seiko case and looks and nice dial and everything, but with, you know, all of the Casio tech, that would kind of be a great watch.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what happens next in this story?
It's a multiple brand collaboration.
You go to AI, you take Seiko, Citizen, and Casio, you start with some mashups, and you see what looks clever.
While he's not ready for release just yet, I have now created Chives, the Watch Butler chatbot. So next week we will perhaps unveil. We're just loading him up with the data and some roasty opinions. So we will maybe get our very own AI Watch Butler to give us commentary on what he thinks in the future. Or maybe it's a she. Maybe it identifies differently depending on the kind of watch. Actually, that's a good idea. We get to identify as a croc wearer to give an opinion on a particular watch, or as a former employee.
You think that demographic needs more representation here, Rick?
more croc wearers. I'm standing up for the croc wearers, or like sitting down, but there we go. Right.
You don't know what that means.
Oh, good grief. I mean, is that comfortable?
Yeah, it's quite comfortable. These are the classic ones. I've also got a yellow pair of the Salehi Bembury collabs, which are crazy looking, but yeah, these are quite comfortable.
Okay, hold on.
They float, they wash off. Where do you want in a shoe?
You know the names of your Crocs.
No, I do. I do know the names of the Crocs.
How many pairs of Crocs have you got?
Currently, 2.
2, that's okay then. That's okay. So you've not got a problem.
Not with Crocs. I've got lots of problems, Rick, but no.
I've got 99 problems and Crocs ain't one. There we go. That's what that song should have been. Right, let's move on to a watch that possibly does have the possibility of having a number of problems depending on how well put together it is. This is the new release, the Vacheron Constantin Les Cabinoteurs. I can't pronounce that. Temporis Duo Grande Complication Open Face Watch. It's a complicated watch, but is it any good, Ripley?
Well, we'll never know because there's one of these and it's a piece unique. But, you know, Vacheron, they produce watches that everyone can purchase, but they have the Le Cabinotier department, which is where it's like their most prestigious craftsmen sit. And they don't just do pretty stuff like enamel and engravings. They also have some master watchmakers there that can do, you know, piece unique custom order things, basically whatever their clients want. And so every so often when they're not making watches, bespoke creations for these, you know, highly affluent individuals we'll never hear about, they do these kind of halo pieces that exist at the very, very uppermost end of the brand's catalog. There's one of these. It's a minute repeater, a split seconds chronograph with a single pusher design. So if you notice, the crown doesn't have an additional pusher on it. That upper pusher governs the general chronograph functions, start, stop, and reset, like a mono pusher. And then it's the second pusher on the bottom that controls the split second functions. And then you also get a tourbillon, sapphire dial, gorgeous piece. It's rose gold. You know, again, there's one of them, but so there's obviously no price. You can't purchase it. I'm sure if you wanted to make something similar and had the means, you could approach the brand and the Le Cabinotier department and they could do something for you. But, you know, these are kind of cool because for all of the other incredibly breathtaking stuff that Vacheron does that they actually sell to the public, there is another level above it. And this is kind of one of the examples of it.
So if you were to ask these guys to produce a watch for you, what complications would you put on it? What would be your dream watch?
It would be a two-handed time-only watch because I can't afford to service anything else. You know, like at a certain point, I would need it to be as simple as possible for me.
Ariel, dream complications?
I got a bunch of them. I can't ruin it. I'm actually thinking someone will make these one day.
All right, okay, so
I can't ruin the surprise.
So you don't want to say, you know, Vacheron might be listening. Maybe they go, you know, Ariel's been such a supporter of us for so many years. We want to give him a free watch. Let's just say brand new
things. I have brand new things that I haven't done before, which are mechanically possible that I like to see. I not just not just because, but I actually have some interesting ideas. They don't all have to be jam-packed into one watch, but I've thought about this for long enough that if there was a brand that wanted to make some new complications, I bet I could have some, design some things that people wanted to get. This is fine, but this is just sort of like shuffling. I mean, these things are amazing, but I really feel that in a couple of decades, people are going to look back at all this like over skeletonization and be like, what was going on? Why were they so obsessed with seeing everything all the time? Vacheron especially, it's like they just can't do a solid dial to save their life. And I'm wondering like how long this trend is going to last. There's nothing wrong with solid dials. Maybe they feel like they've been bored of it, but like, wow, are they leaning into this?
David, go on. A complication you really love in a watch, or a combination of complications?
A depreciation calculator. You just it's like a tachymeter, it's exponential in a way. You see, it starts from like wherever, and then it just goes, whoa.
Slows down.
Days until this watch is no longer worth selling.
I like that. That's good. That's a good idea. The depreciation.
The disinterest timer. I mean,
I would love a service interval indicator because I can only imagine this has a
nearly did something like that.
This has nearly 700 components. That means a lot of little contact points requiring lubrication.
Needs constant servicing. It's always broken.
So there's like a little number on the back. That's what the price of the servicing is going to be, and it just goes up.
Running seconds.
There's a hand on the front that goes down the way, but it's got an opposite hand on the back that goes up the way. So as it depreciates in one direction, the
we can have an
servicing
alarm
costs
that goes off
increase in
when
the
you
other
need to service
direction.
it.
I like that. That's a coaxial hand, and one is the depreciation, the other one is the service cost. Actually, neither Vacheron nor anybody else has ever convinced me otherwise. So I will say this: I think if you wore this watch for a week, if I'm generous, then a month, but probably a week, it would just go like cling, and then it would break. I'm absolutely certain that it's not like, what's the service interval? This needs constant servicing at all times. I'm not buying the fact that this is something that works to design.
So you're saying that this person that bought this watch has their own waiting room at the headquarters for when they need to go in there and have repaired? Like
Chives needs work, they have their watch butler.
Exactly. I reckon that if you were the passenger in your limo and you were wearing this on your left hand and you slammed the door hard as you got into the limo, you'd probably set the whole thing springing off in several different directions.
Why would you slam the door of your limo? You have a driver to touch the door. You're not touching any part of the limo except the seat and maybe the cup holder. This is rarefied air, Rick. One does not touch the exterior of the car.
What kind of G-forces are exerted on a watch when you go from the vertical position to the horizontal position, coiffure
far too much for this movement, I'm afraid.
You quickly swig back, or if you pop the cork on your champagne, the force, the vibration that goes through your arm.
If you open a bottle of champagne, this watch goes into a bucket of WD-40 because otherwise it's not reliable. But and again, the question is this an impressive exercise? And I'm not just talking about Vacheron here, but all of these 700, 800, 900 component watches. Is this an impressive achievement to cram this many pieces into a movement if they don't actually work or don't work reliably or don't keep time well? Because then it's not working. On this basis, you could do whatever you want. If it's not working, then how is that an achievement?
You just mentioned what most of the industry is.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors. Looks great in a picture. Does it work? That's another story.
Kind of.
All it took is 177
a lot of this
episodes.
Stuff has never worked. Some of the stuff works great.
That's the point.
We're not saying that Vacheron is by any means a bad offender, but it is true that a one-off movement has a much higher likelihood of never working than something which is tested and serially produced and stuff like that. And it's true that you can't just make a movement and expect it to work in like a computer program. Like there's a lot of testing, and we don't really know how much opportunity Vacheron has. Sure, there's some testing, but like how much can they wear test this? Can they do this for years? Can they like sink like millions of dollars into it? Will the customer be willing to pay for that? Like these are very practical questions.
Yeah. I would be interested. Go on,
the key is like the iterative evolution of these movements, where I'm pretty sure a lot of this movement is based on architecture that's existed elsewhere. So that they're not having to do the whole thing soup to nuts in its entirety, bespoke for this.
Sorry, hold on. The whole thing soup to nuts. What's that?
With all of your Scottish idioms, you've never heard that
the
one?
whole thing soup to nuts. In what way did nuts?
I don't know what it means either. I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
It's a thing. It doesn't like all of the American ones. They don't make much sense, but it's a thing. Yeah,
I'm definitely adopting
it means
that.
The whole kit and caboodle. There's another one. Yeah, I've never seen a caboodle.
What is a caboodle?
It's actually that thing.
Food, I think.
Yeah, it's next to the tourbillon there on the dial.
Yeah. Is this a nice watch? Because I'm not sure it is. It's a complicated watch. I'm not sure it's actually a good-looking watch.
It's intimidating. Like, you don't want to mess with the person wearing this. You're like, you just back away slowly. Don't turn your back to them. Okay.
Especially if their eyes are like this.
Yeah, you don't know if this person's looking at you or looking behind you. Just don't cross the person wearing this.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that. I hadn't noticed that. That's completely rude. That goes into the how to ruin into the can't unsee category. That's an additional to that. So on top of the Citizen Underpants watch and the Speedmaster 12 o'clock markings, this goes into the
Is there like a fancy French way of saying no symmetry?
Le cabinotier. There's just one guy out there or person who's paid a bunch of money for this and is listening to us like mocking it and whatever. But there's just one person out there. I hope it's Zuckerberg. I don't know who it is, but it might just be him.
Can you imagine if the person that actually bought this watch was a listener?
Oh, oftentimes they are. They chuckle at it. They love this type of thing. It's like attention. They like that their thing gets attention. It adds to the ownership experience when people are talking about it.
Roasted online.
They love this type of thing. Look, they know what they got. We're not saying it's bad. Yes, it's aesthetically challenged, but they didn't buy it for it to be pretty. They want to scare people with their timepiece. I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I like being scared because I'd happily own it.
And you could scare people too. Anybody seeing Ripley wearing this is not going to mess with Ripley.
I'd be scared of myself wearing this. Yeah. I'd be scared of every door frame. I'd be scared of everything.
A watch that exudes fear, luxury fear.
I mean, how do you wear? I mean, presumably, if you've bought this sort of thing, you are watch aware enough of just how delicate this is. Potentially, it's not like you thought, "Oh, I'll wear G-Shocks normally, and then I'll spend $1 million on this."
This needs one of those, those like case guards, like the Rhino bars, like they used to have on the Casios. This watch definitely needs one of those.
Now, I would pay good money to see the person that owns this watch.
Could you mock that up on
who's
whatever
sure
AI program you're allowed to use? That
let's chat. We'll chat GPT that one afterwards. I'm not sure if I can do this mid-show or not.
Put bumpers on this watch.
Bumpers for the watch.
In 1862, Franz Ludwig Löbner began his career making precision timekeepers in what would become Germany. Settling in Berlin, he received an official clockmaker's mandate from the king and quickly gravitated towards the then pioneering technology of creating precise instruments to measure short durations of time. In 1881, Löbner was already an exclusive mark thanks to their ability to mass-produce chronographs able to measure 1/100th of a second. Just a few years later, they developed a clock able to measure 1/1000th of a second for sports and scientific purposes. Löbner continued to be a recognized German leader in precise and reliable high-accuracy timekeeping into the 20th century. They were among the first to use highly precise electric switches to trigger their mechanical measuring devices in order to overcome the limitations of human response time. Löbner has now been revived for a modern era. The company continues its long legacy of creating precise and beautiful timing equipment for today's demanding users. The Löbner Steel Racer features a novel chronograph-focused dial with an eccentric reading of the time and a sliding crown guard system. The time-only Löbner Sledge model features a smaller 100-meter water-resistant case and a new inner rotating timing bezel system. Learn more about the history of precision timekeeping instruments and the new Löbner wristwatch collection at lbnr.com.
Right, let's go somewhere else. Let's go on to this. Where are we? This is from Frederique Constant. Launches a trio of classic vintage rally Healy watches for 2025. Nice looking watch and nice looking range of watches, but was anyone really asking for a Healy vintage combo watch? Anyone?
Oh, these have been around for years.
So these are.
I didn't know it was new until you told me. I'm like,
yeah, this looks
come
like
out
a watch from 2008.
Yeah,
2008
I've seen
2008.
these in a shopping mall back before the financial crisis, probably, but that's okay.
Is Healy one of those companies that's having a comeback yet, or is it still on the list of cars to turn electric?
Probably cars turn electric. I really don't know. It's a nice looking watch, a nice looking range of watches, but I just don't understand.
They just keep selling these. They just keep modifying them slightly. Mm-hmm. It's essentially the same thing. There's someone out there who just keeps liking Heelys enough, and they're like, "Why does no watch care about me?" Thank you, Frederique Constant.
Whenever I hear Healy, I think of those shoes with the wheel in the heel that were like quite popular during the early 2000s. Also called Heelys.
There was a shoe with a watch in the heel?
No. A wheel in the heel.
And a wheel in the heel. And the wheeled Heelys.
There was only one. It was
a heel in the heel?
A wheel in the heel.
A wheel in the heel.
I love these. This was like...
And they're called wheelies?
We'll get some pictures. Hold on.
Yeah, like first grade meet.
There's a website.
We are on fire today.
Yeah, they still make them. They did a South Park collab.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to this. This is the shoe show this week.
And then they had some with
summer sale, Ariel. You could get into these.
30% off.
So Casio did the Crocs one. Who should be the collaboration with Heelys?
Tag. They love motorsports.
Bremen.
These types of things. Okay. I remember seeing these things.
Yeah. There's just the one wheel in the heel, unlike the roller skate shoes.
How did these not get people killed quite easily?
Oh, they did. They did.
Okay.
I hurt myself really, really bad on these as a kid a couple times. I'd love to get another pair though.
Well, let's say Kickstarter for. ChatGPT is busy creating an image of the Vacheron Constantin in bars. From what I can see so far, quite interesting, but we'll reveal that maybe in a minute. What brand would a Heelys collab? Must be one. I mean, maybe Vacheron Constantin. Maybe that's what should come with the Le Capitaine watch, just to prove its integrity. They can cope. Actually, that's perfect. The Heelys allows for completely smooth walking, so there is no force of actually taking steps passing through your body. You move smoothly through the world as smoothly as possible.
You're so far more likely to roll into something.
Yeah, on these, here's the thing about
Impact
these.
City.
Since there's no wheel on the heel, when your toes come down, you basically face plant. Your foot becomes the fulcrum on the axis that transports your upper half of your body into the pavement at an accelerated rate. Falling on these hurts way more than falling on a skateboard, roller skates, or most other wheeled objects. You hit the ground amazingly quick given a very low speed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you ready for this? I'm not sure you are. Ready for this.
The new Grail piece incoming. Oh wow.
God.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
It looks tougher though.
I like it so much more now.
Did you type Hublot in there by accident?
Is that a golden concept?
That does survive.
That's what I want.
To be fair, that does make it through a day. That Vacheron Constantin with the kind of
luck to luck. 85 millimeters.
But you can drop it from you can fall off your luxury balcony with this.
Yeah,
I am mildly impressed too. For some reason it's decided to misspell Vacheron Constantin as Vacheron Constant, but other than that,
Ian.
No, it doesn't want to violate intellectual property stuff.
Wonder what it says in the back. No, it's just logos in the back now. But I think we could apply to some Chinese shop to produce our Vacheron Constant in this style. I think that's not a bad effort, to be fair. So introduce that with the rest of the times. Introducing Vacheron Constant in. Right. Okay. Do we have any more watches to talk about? I feel it's been a slow week. Is it slowed down, Ariel? Are we hitting a bit of a lull, or is it just?
I don't know. This is a summer unlike any other. I mean, Vacheron's coming out with crazy one-offs. Every brand is coming out. Tudor keeps coming out with stuff. I mean, I don't know.
I know what we've not looked at. We've not looked at two watches to be unfortunately released at the same time. The Jack Mason Strat-o-Timer GMT Black Widow and the Depancel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Depancel.
Depancel. You've got to get the accent right. The Depancel Allure. Okay, what's this? D square bracket R.
Driving and diving.
Driver,
right, okay.
but with it's a diver, but with the R. Driver,
right,
driver.
Okay.
And
diver.
you know what? It's actually neither. It's neither for diving or driving.
Let's play.
Yes.
Well, we need to do hit miss maybe, but before we go on to this, I'll stop sharing these on the screen for those that are watching because we need to go around the room to find out what everyone is actually wearing, especially Ripley. So Ariel, what's on the wrist today?
Oh, I still have the Hublot Concrete while I can because I really enjoyed this thing.
Have they asked for it back yet?
Yes.
Yes. have you ignored the emails?
I can only do that for so long.
And then you have to declare that it's a sponsored article. At what point in borrowing the watch and not sending it back do you then have to say, this article technically became sponsored because I held on to the watch?
I don't
for too
know if
long.
that ever is how sponsored articles are formed. I think that's mighty confusing. No, I don't think Hublot is just going to forget about this one, unfortunately.
Right, okay. You think
Precious concrete.
Precious concrete.
Precious concrete.
It's on their balance sheet somewhere.
Did you ever find out what the transparent sides of it are made of?
Magic.
They do use a lot of magic. There's magic gold, yeah.
Precious,
just magic.
transparent resin. Opaque titanium.
David, what's on the what's on the table?
It's the MTGB 3000, and I'm removing the straps from it so that it goes on my shoe.
I think. Does anyone remember? This was maybe a British thing, circa 1989, when folk used to wear scarves around their ankles. Does anybody remember that particular fashion? Ankles? Was that a thing in the States? It was briefly a thing in the UK before folk started tripping up and falling into traffic. But
there was the scarves in the back pocket in San Francisco, though I think that was for a very different purpose.
Right.
Yes.
I don't want to ask.
David, are you putting that watch in a wheelie shoe? Is that going to be the wheel?
Yeah.
I think that's what you do. Take out the wheel from the wheelie and just put it in a round watch case.
G-Shock.
An iPod.
Ripley. Glad we both got there at the same time. That's good. So, Ripley, what is on the wrist and what's on the head?
Well, the hat is for the fictitious Formula One team that Brad Pitt drives on in the upcoming film that I'll be seeing on Wednesday. And on the wrist, if you look at it from this angle, it looks like that Moser that looks like an Apple Watch. And if you look at it like this angle, you realize it is unfortunately just an Apple Watch because I needed the alarm to go off to tell me that we were about to record. Okay.
What is the team called? Show us the logo. Is it P? I don't. How's it?
Apex
GP.
Apex GP.
As lame as that sounds.
There's not a lot of thought gone into that. They just.
And the shirt is obviously the octagonal, the Genta bezel from the ABlogtoWatch store.
Excellent. I'm in Scotland wearing a panoramic. Right, let's get on with these two watches. Hit miss maybe. Jack Strat. We kind of should review them let's see if we can do them side by side. I'm not sure we can in this particular technology. But the Jack Mason Strat-o-Timer GMT Black Widow watch. What? Right.
Well, they can't call it the Coke because they have an official partnership with Dr. Pepper, where each year they come out with an official Dr. Pepper collab. So this would really convolute it. But they wanted to make a Coke, so they've called it the Black Widow. Black Widows, as we all know, they're black spiders with the red hourglass. It makes sense.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't live in a country that's got poisonous animals in it, so I didn't know that.
Really?
Okay. Is it nice? Did you get hands on with this, or is this just a review from everything they've told us about it?
Oh, no, this is a news article. Yeah, we've reviewed this. This is their core collection model. We've got different reviews of their different colorways. The model's slowly evolved over the years. Probably one of the most notable changes has been the change from a sapphire bezel, which was colored on the underside. This is a 2-part split color ceramic. This isn't the first one to feature that, but if you want to find hands-on reviews of sort of the evolution of the Strat-o-Timer, we've been covering it since its launch. This is the most updated version of it, so it has kind of the various little refinements that have appeared on previous gens, such as the ceramic bezel, and they've now rendered it in the black and red Black Widow color profile.
I think $1,150. I think this is quite pretty. I quite like this. But what do you guys think? Let's give it a hit, a miss, or a maybe. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't know what I've done with 1, 2, 3, go. It's a hit, I think. Ariel, hit for you. Why is that?
It's just a very easy to live with watch. The GMT movement in there, it's, one of those better Miyota ones where you can adjust it, just the hour hand. So it feels like a very high functioning one. Good fit and finish, good quality, comfortable. It's not the last watch you'll ever wear, but again, for the money and for the design, for the specs, it's well done. As I said, this is a brand from someone that really cares about watches, and that's what people want to buy. So, if for the price point, there's a lot of things in this space, but again, this is the type of watch that like years from now, you'll pick it up. It's not going to go like out of style. Yeah.
I mean, $1,100, while we say there's a lot of watches in the price in this space, there's increasingly few. They seem to be either getting cheaper or much more expensive. $1,000 watch, or £1,000 watch. It's maybe not as crowded as it used to be. David, you gave it a maybe?
Yeah, I gave it a maybe. I'm not too, I'm not sold on the proportions really, but overall it's a well-made watch. It's a decent proposition. Somehow it doesn't add up quite to a hit in my mind, or especially to my eyes, but yeah, whatever. If folks like it, go ahead, get it.
Cool. Ripley?
I said it's a maybe leaning towards hit. In a vacuum, definitely a hit. These are solid watches. If you like this style and like this colorway, absolutely, you're not going to be disappointed. Like Ariel said, it's a very easy to live with watch. It's not like a fleeting trend thing. It's well spec'd. It's got a reliable movement, practical functions. This isn't the most unique colorway. Granted, they make a ton of different colorways. So if you wanted something a little bit more off the beaten path, go peruse their website. But they do have kind of the classic ones that you would think, like a red and blue Pepsi style one. So a black and red made sense. They specifically waited until now where they could make a really nice ceramic bezel for it rather than doing the sapphire version. So all around, it's a hit. There are a lot of watches with this movement, so at a kind of similar price. This one's just as good as any of them, better than most. But so if you like it, go for it. It's not necessarily the most original, but that's not necessarily a knock on it whatsoever.
There you go. Ariel, bespoke watches for group. You could get Jack Mason to build your watch that you've always wanted, complication-wise.
I still want someone to make us tracksuits, matching tracksuits.
Philip Line has entered the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a bejeweled one with skulls?
Metallic blue python is kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
I see a Philip Lang collab in the works already.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd wear that. Right. Then I mean, it's, we've often been approached saying, could I sponsor the Hit Miss Maybe round? Loads of companies have approached us, obviously. We've refused them all because our opinions cannot be bought. I mean, they actually can be bought. If you'd like to sponsor the Hit Miss Maybe round, feel free. And it would seem that Coca-Cola should probably be this week's sponsor, because this was the other one which we touched on earlier, the Depancel. Is that right?
So close.
So close but no cigar. Allure, the driver, yeah, I see what you did there, at calendar watch. It seems a bit odd to go to the complication of the Allure with all the complication of the driver and then just put calendar watch. It feels like calendar should have been a different word. It should have been in a different language, or nomenclature slightly different rather than just calendar. It seems a bit plain in comparison to capitalizing and square bracketing the driver. Ripley, you had a hands-on with this?
Yeah, I did. These are pretty cool. I mean, so Depancel, they're very much a racing inspired brand. The whole, they're French. The whole name itself is a portmanteau of 3 different famous French automotive manufacturers. And so everything they do is kind of racing inspired. They have plenty of chronographs and chronograph adjacent models. Obviously, the dive watch archetype platform is quite common and popular. There's clear demand for it across the industry at all different price points. But rather than just making a dive watch, which really doesn't have much purpose in the world of racing, they've kind of taken the general blueprint of a diver and then made a versatile multi-purpose sports watch. So it's a triple calendar Miyota 9 series movement in there. It's got a rotating 12-hour bezel, good water resistance. It's kind of got an integrated bracelet. It's not. It's you can take it off. It also comes available with a rubber strap. The red and black colors of it have nothing to do with Coke. It's the colors of the cigarette racing team. The whole kind of ethos of the watch, rather than car driving, was like the power era of power boats from the 60s and 70s, of which the cigarette racing team was quite prolific. The name cigarette has nothing to do with tobacco. It has to do with the shape of the boats, which are long and skinny, hence the cigarette. But their colors were black and red. So one of the 2 colorways of this model is thus black and red, but it is unfortunately a red and black split color bezel that launched on the same time as another watch with a red and black split color bezel. Yeah.
This is a big boy. This is 44 mil and looks just about as thick.
44 mil lug to lug, Rick.
Is it?
It looks like it's just like 39 or something and a half.
Is it
or something?
Really? It looks much bigger than
my
that.
wrist. What do you expect?
Sorry,
That's the thinnest part of my body. It's
sorry. What do the 3 stars on the 12 o'clock marker mean?
Oh, that's their logo. It's the badge.
That's the logo.
And yeah, right, the 3 stars each represent one of the 3 automotive manufacturers that they that they've used to create the name. 3 automotive.
Right, okay, you need to explain that.
Well, I none of these guys sell cars in America, so I think the second one's Panhard, and I don't know. I said it in the other review of their watch. I said I mentioned it, what the name comes from, but it's 3 automotive manufacturers that are French. He's kind of taken the first part of one, the second part of another, and grouped them together to make a cool sounding.
Of
3 different
French.
Names, yes.
Right,
so you get 3 stars on the logo, and that is the luminous applied marker, by the way. It's something we did on the Mecha Quartz Chrono. It's kind of cool.
Cool. And interestingly, cheaper than the last watch we reviewed. This is more or less bang on $1,000. So, gentlemen, is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. 3 maybes and a hit from me. Ariel, a maybe. Why?
The watch is designed for a more novice person coming to the hobby. The people behind the brand aren't hiding that. they're looking to get something which looks kind of cool, incorporates some familiar designs. And that's kind of the funny thing, the sort of black and red bezel. It's sort of an archetype. It's a generic element, and it's kind of ironic, but not surprising that two watches kind of at the same time featured it. They're not copying one another. They're both copying other things out there. It just goes to show how often you have elements that repeat itself. But again, focusing on that person who's fresher to the hobby, who is not comfortable spending many thousands of dollars, this is a handsome, cool thing. I just gave it a maybe because I'm beyond that. I'm not that interested in this particular movement. It's fine, but it's just, again, maybe if I was newer, I'd be cooler with it. If I've never had a calendar, that's sort of neat. So again, for fresh enthusiasts, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. But I think for mature watch enthusiasts, it's less of an exciting thing. Not because it's bad, but just because I've had these colors before. I've had these movements. It's just, and I think most mature watch lovers will agree. Like, easy to recommend it to someone, buy it for someone as a gift. But for yourself, there's just other things that you have that are more maybe original or a little bit more of a mature item.
David, maybe from you?
Yeah, maybe largely for the same reasons. I really like it on the rubber strap. That looked really cool. You pulled up an image of that, so that was a cool looking strap. It's not a bad package overall. It's not cheap. It's not too expensive in the sense that you do get a fair bit of watch for the money. I'm not a fan of these dual sub-dial watches where you have calendar complications on indicated at 3 and 9 o'clock, but maybe that's just me. Overall, it's not too bad.
Yeah, you know what? I'm changing the hit to miss because I'm realizing I don't like these calendar complications like this. So Ripley, you give it a maybe?
Yeah, I gave it a maybe. It gets a lot of different desirable aesthetic cues kind of all in one watch without being too much of a carbon copy of any one. The dial almost looks like a chronograph, but it's not a chronograph. The bezel looks like it's a GMT watch, and you can use it to track a second time zone, but this isn't a GMT watch. The whole kind of blueprint of it is kind of diver adjacent, as is a GMT. It's an integrated bracelet style case. It's a lot of things people look for kind of all rolled into one, which is unique, even though none of the individual parts of this watch by themselves are all that unique. Getting it all together is a kind of cool. Like Ariel mentioned, this isn't for the deep enthusiast unless this fills a very specific void that they're looking for. But for the person who kind of likes a lot of these different things, they like the diver style, but they don't dive. They like an integrated bracelet watch, or they kind of like the look of a split color bezel, but don't really travel and need the GMT complication. This allows them to participate in kind of all of these different worlds without having to kind of take too much of a committed stance towards any one of them. And, it's a well-made watch. I wore it around for, a couple weeks, and it does what it should do. And it's a satisfying overall ownership experience. So if you vibe with it, you're not going to be too disappointed at all.
Good. Right. Well, I think that is us for the main show this week. Any final thoughts or comments, gentlemen, on the world of watches, either this week gone by or this week to come? Mr. Adams?
Well, I've had like 10 companies ask me if I'm going to be at Geneva Watch Days. So I take that to mean that early in September, when this year's Geneva Watch Days will happen in Geneva, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there. So we've been talking about all the releases happening over the summer. There's going to be even more at the very end of the summer. So it's going to be like Watchpocalypse. There's going to be an enormous amount of watches coming this year.
Anyone exciting talking about something exciting coming at Geneva? Or
yeah, a lot more stuff I can't afford. Whole lot of stuff I can't afford.
It is certainly becoming very high end that particular week. David, what's going on in your watch week coming?
Well, I'm going to Geneva Watch Days as well, so that's something to look forward to. But we have a long summer before that's happening, so that's good. Just tune in next week because as you guys can see, the world of watches is hilarious. I had a lot of fun this week.
We're all about the fun. Ripley, you're speaking of a brand next week that I may have some
I'm speaking of a brand next week.
Yeah, we talked about before we started recording that you might have a wee review of something that I might quite like.
Oh no, a news story. I wrote up
Loading.
some Panerais. Expect this on the website probably by the time this podcast comes out. Panerai has renewed their partnership with the Luna Rossa racing team and has once again released, now this time, 2 Luna Rossa themed models. Both
Can you tell the
Luminors.
difference between them?
Yes, because one's a time only and one's a flyback chronograph. Both of them are gray with red stripes and details. The partnership's been going since 2019. I don't have any connection to the world of sailing, but clearly this is a success for them because while I was writing the article, I looked to see how many Luna Rossa edition models Panerai currently offers on its website, and the answer is 15 different Luna Rossa watches.
Wow.
So they wouldn't keep doing this if it wasn't a success. It's obviously not the one I'm buying.
No. Hold on a second. Are you suggesting that watch brands wouldn't keep doing things if they were successful? There's hundreds of watch brands
it's got to be one or the other.
Continue to do things that are, maybe the fact that there's still 15 of them available suggests they haven't sold out of any of the previous 14 editions, and that they're still a bit because they're all limited editions, are they not?
No. Only one of these 2 is a limited edition. It's the flyback. Okay. The other one's standard production. And when I was looking through, a decent chunk are limited editions or boutique exclusives, but a lot of these are just thrown into the catalog as core collections. So there's, they're anticipating a larger number of buyers than like the 150 pieces that they've made for the flyback.
Yeah. Is there really that many people sail in the world that want to wear a Panerai?
I was asking Rick how many. I'm not the sailing expert here, but how many people are on a regatta team? Because if there's less than 15, presumably each person could wear a different Luna Rossa watch.
Yeah, that's an experience I'd like to see. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Panerai owner, and like, kind of once you own one, there's really no need to own another.
There's a need to own one other. You can have the Radiomir or the Luminor.
Okay, yeah, you can have one with the wiry lugs on as well, if that's your thing. Okay, good stuff. Right, well, thank you, everybody. We will see you again. James is suggesting Panerai haven't made a nice watch for 20 years. I don't think that's true. I think all their watches are nice. It's just they're all the same. That's the problem. Right, that's it for our show this week. Thank you all very much for joining us. If you want to tune into the live show, you might get a little bit of extra. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.